Okay, so the new issue of the day is that now that the government has reopened and people are able to get their SNAP benefits, that some people will have to now reapply to be eligible for those SNAP benefits. Now, my saying on a lot of what the Democrats have been doing lately is that you don't want people to know what's going on behind the curtain, because once you do that, you're going to expose the system to everybody for all to see. And that is what basically happened with this shutdown. A whole bunch of people got to see that there was a whole bunch of waste, fraud, and abuse going on with a lot of the systems that we are engaged in. That there's a lot of waste in the food stamp program. There's a lot of waste on a lot of the government spending that we have been doing. So a lot of people, of course, are upset that that a whole bunch of people have to reapply for food stamps. Now I'm going to start off with we're over here on TikTok, but I'm going to start off with two of these big guys. They got check marks by their name. So that means that they're very important people, right? If you got a check mark by your name, you're a very important person on the platform. So this first one right here is from an Aaron Parnas. Let's go ahead and see what he has to say about the current program and what's going on.
We have some serious news right now. The Trump administration, according to Politico, is going to force every SNAP recipient to reapply for SNAP benefits in an effort to, quote, root out fraud. But critics are saying that this is just an attempt from Trump to block millions of vulnerable low-income Americans from receiving food assistance. Brooke Rollins told Newsmax, quote, that she plans to have everyone reapply for their benefits, make sure that everyone that's taking a taxpayer-funded benefit through food stamps, that they literally are vulnerable and they can't survive without it. They're going to overhaul SNAP benefits in the coming weeks. But here's the thing, state SNAP administrators already require families to recertify every 6 months that they're eligible for the benefits. Now it's unclear how this is going to be different, but imagine this federal government processing 42 million plus applications for SNAP. Spread the word. Full updates on my Substack, linked in bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along, stay up to date on all the news that you need to know about. There'll be much more to come soon.
Okay, so let's take that point by point what's going on here. Now, here's the thing. We all understand that there's fraud that is within the system. Now, he mentions that how is the federal government going to process 42 million applications? That's an interesting question. That's a good question. How did 42 million Americans get approved for food stamps to begin with? Hey, there you go. But then also with the states, the states might have their own requirements, but this is still a federally administered program. That's why the USDA is coming in saying, hey, we want you guys to reapply for this program. A lot of states are running some dumb nonsense with what's going on with the SNAP program. I know the Trump administration had asked for the rolls from these states. Certain states have said, no, we won't do that. And these certain states all happen to be blue states. So a lot of what's going on right here is all the fault of what's going on at the state level. If the states had worked in tandem with the federal government to help root out the fraud in these situations, maybe we wouldn't have to be in a situation where all these people have to reapply for aid. Now, I like how they always say it's low-income Americans from receiving food assistance. Let me tell you something about low-income Americans. Low-income Americans have more than enough money to go and get all kinds of stuff that have nothing to do with food, such as TVs, such as really good smartphones, such as really good cars, such as really good clothes. So maybe low-income people should figure out, hey, you know what? I am low-income. Maybe I should spend more of my money on the necessities of life as opposed to the luxuries of life. And I wouldn't have to struggle to get food stamp assistance from a government from a Democrat shutdown who used them as pawns to go ahead and try to extort, blackmail the Trump administration into funding a healthcare system for illegal aliens. Maybe just like something like that. I like all these. The first three quotes over here. We should have every politician reapply to their position so we can screen for fraud. That's what we have. That's why we're called elections. I don't know how this one got 2,900 likes. It's so funny that these people say such stupid things like that. We have elections. He Here's another one. He should reapply so we can screen for fraud. So he's talking about Trump. Um, he did reapply and he won. They already reapply, recertify every 6 to 12 months. Oh yeah, because nobody ever lies on those recertifications. And sometimes it's just a simple line. I recertified that everything I told you when I first applied for benefits is okay. Yeah, yeah. That we shouldn't actually follow up on that. And then the last one right here. As a former staff member for SNAP, benefits are audited multiple times and additionally can be pulled anytime for state and federal audit. This is government overreach and a distraction. So, yes, it's government overreach to say 42 million Americans had lost their SNAP benefits, but we want to make sure each of those 42 million Americans are eligible for those SNAP benefits. So we're going to put the onus on you to reapply to the program. If you reapply to the program and you're eligible, you'll get your food stamps. But I think a lot of these 42 million, we're going to find that they are going to say, hey, you know something, the jig is up. We're not going to go ahead and do it anymore. Let's go ahead and go to another one. Let's go to this other guy down here. He's got a check mark by his name. His name is Dave Bondi. And let's see what he has to say.
Happening with SNAP benefits, and this could impact, or will impact actually, millions of people across the country, and most have no idea it's coming. That's why I'm making this video. So here's the deal. The Trump administration is pushing a major change to how people on SNAP, that's the food assistance program, get their benefits. Right now, people only have to reapply once a year. Under the new proposal, they would need to reapply every 6 months. The administration says this will cut down on waste and make sure only people who truly qualify stay on the program. Now, critics are already sounding the alarm. They say this could knock families off benefits just because the paperwork gets harder. They argue that millions of low-income people already struggle with red tape, and this will make it worse. Food banks are worried too. They say if a bunch of people suddenly lose their benefits, doors are going to get slammed. Now, the USDA says the goal is simple: accountability and reducing fraud. Opponents say it's unnecessary and could create chaos for people who rely on this program. But there is evidence that there is massive fraud in this program. I'm here in Michigan, where they have major issues with SNAP and fraud. So this will be happening in the near future. Let me know what you're thinking about this in the comments below.
All right, so you heard that. And so he just gave a fair assessment. He gave the both sides of the issue. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm on the other side of the issue where I'm like, dude, me personally, I would get rid of all welfare programs. This nonsense that, low-income families will have to deal with red tape and will have to deal with more hardships and all that. Okay, well, welcome to life. I got to deal with hardships too. I got to deal with red tape. I hate having to deal with paperwork too. But guess what? We got to deal with the paperwork. Imagine that. You got to put in a little bit of work to get some money. Yeah. One would think, hey, you know something? If I got to put in a little bit of work to get some money, maybe I might as well just go get a job. I mean, it's an idea, right? It's an idea. Just put in the work, go get a job. You want to put in the work to get some money, go get a job. But I guess for some people, it's just not in the cards for them or anything like that. So that was a pretty fair assessment. I like how he reported this. He didn't really give his own opinion or anything like that. You can tell by some of his mannerisms where he kind of leaned. But overall, I like that. The other one, you could tell by him, some of the words that he was using, which way he leaned. So let's go ahead and pull up another one. Let's get some black people up off in here. Let's look at this brother right here. Let's see what he has to say.
Okay, so for those of y'all who haven't seen the SNAP situation, they're pretty much saying that everybody has to reapply, right? And I want to break down why they say they're doing this, and then I want to tell y'all what I believe the real reason is that they're doing this now that the government has opened back up. So first, let's start off with what they're saying. Basically, they're saying they found a bunch of fraud in the system now that it has updated, right? So they're saying like people are using family members' accounts that have passed away, right? They're saying people are not updating their accounts, so the information on there is not accurate, right? And they saying the states is not updating their files either. So they're pretty much trying to say a lot of people are getting off with SNAP benefits. So the excuse is we have to clean the system, and the only way to do that is to make everybody reapply all at once. But if I'm being real, the timing looks a little crazy. The government just opened back up after being shut down for weeks. And I remember doing a video a while back letting y'all know that the government shutdown, for my calculations, was like 800 million to like 2 billion a day. And I told y'all I'll break that cost down if y'all want to. But I said, who do y'all think is really going to pay for this? They weren't going to pay for it out their pocket. So to me, what it looks like is they're trying to cut costs without actually saying we're cutting costs. And the easiest way to do that, right, is to make millions of people reapply all at once, right? Because they know a lot of people won't finish the paperwork in time, won't get the notice, and the other half of y'all won't even know what's going on. Y'all just going to wake up one day and your SNAP benefits going to be off. And they know when they do this, it's going to automatically lower the number of people getting help, so they'll never actually have to say the word budget cuts or cut anything. But let me know what y'all think. Are y'all buying the fraud situation, or do y'all think that this is just another way to control the people now that the shutdown has been over? Let me know.
Well, to address that last part, if you don't want to be controlled by the government, don't take anything from the government. Seems pretty simple to me. If you don't want to be controlled by the government, don't take anything from the government. Now, as far as what he's saying with regards to budget cuts and everything like that, no, I think in this particular situation, the agriculture secretary, she came on Fox News and admitted it, just like that what I had said at the beginning of this video.
Of business, the USDA said all eligible families getting their full benefits today, while the Trump administration announces an overhaul of that program. You're requiring every SNAP participant to reapply as part of a crackdown on fraud. You pointed out data from 29 states showing 186,000 deceased individuals were still receiving benefits. 120 people under arrest for fraud so far. On top of that, New York requirements and a $186 billion budget cut also taking effect. So what? Somebody died and their heirs started receiving their SNAP benefits? Secretary, what happened?
It's just incredible. And, you know, within the first hour of me being sworn in February, this was one of my very first things that we did. We sent a letter to every state. We said business as usual is over. The status quo is no more. We know that the SNAP program is rife with fraud, but it's all anecdotal. This was last February, that we have no data. How is it true that the taxpayers through the federal government fund this $100 billion program every single year, but we don't even know whether it's being done correctly, what the accountability looks like? We want that data ourselves. As I mentioned, 29 states complied, mostly the red states. And what we have found since we started getting that data late spring of this year is just stunning. As you mentioned, 186,000 deceased individuals receiving benefits, 500,000 people getting more than two times the benefit. So they're getting it in one place and then they're getting it in another place. The same person. We found thousands of individuals that were getting benefits in 3 to 4 or 5, 6 different states. I mean, it is one thing after another. And this is just from the red states. Can you imagine when we get through litigation and we get that data from California, New York, Oregon? We know under Biden, the program increased 40%. Of course, we believe they were trying to buy the election by pushing more and more money out without any accountability. So this is what we're trying to bring under control. And listen, we always knew it was going to be a really big deal. We knew that it was stunning what was happening. But what the shutdown did, that sort of unintended consequence of the Democrats shutting down the government over the last 43, 45 days, is that one of their favored programs is now in the eye of the average everyday American who says, this is not okay. Go fix this. My taxpayer dollars should not be spent for this sort of fraud and abuse, and taking it out of the mouths of families that really need the program. There are vulnerable families in America that need this program that aren't getting it because of the fraud and the abuse that now we're going to work to fix.
That shutdown had given the administration a great opportunity to go in there and take a look at that program and find detail. And on top of that, it allowed a lot of Americans to see that program in a little bit more detail. And they were able to go in there and discover a lot of fraud and waste within the program. And he was giving some of the examples there. Some of us, we all know some people in our lives that you get food stamps, and you know they shouldn't be on food stamps. They should be getting up off their ass and go getting a job. So I don't think that there's any type of conspiracy here. There's no reason to do budget cuts or anything like that. In fact, me personally, I think it was a great thing that the government was shut down. So, hey, in my view, anytime a federal worker is fired or laid off or there's a shutdown, you guys should consider that a tax cut, a tax break to you, the actual working man who goes out and is productive and gets taxed so that you could fund these programs, that you could fund the TSA, so that you could fund the federal government. You should consider it a tax cut. And when you saw that the government was shut down, everything still just went hunky-dory forward. Now, I know that we want to see that the TSA, or I keep saying the TSA, but the FAA was having issues with people manning those towers to help direct the plane traffic and whatnot. Personally, I think the airlines should actually take over all of that. The airlines should form a union, and I'm using union in the royal terms, not in the terms of employee unions or whatnot. They should form a union that takes over all those traffic towers, and they should be staffed with actual airline employees. That's just my personal view on that. I don't think there was any type of fraud going on here, at least from the government. From the government's perspective, I think they literally want to go off in there and look at this program and make sure that everybody that applies is actually eligible for the program. I like what he just said off in there, that some people won't even reapply. That should tell you something. They know the party's up. Let's go ahead and grab one last more, and then we're going to go ahead and call it. All right, let's see here. We had they're mostly men, so let's get a woman's perspective on all of this here. Let's go ahead and click on Weave Cap right here.
Food stamp / EBT SNAP.
Oh my God.
You will have to reapply because they are not giving people any benefits anymore because of they found EBT fraud. Like, people have been doing fraud, getting stamps when they don't supposed to, stealing people benefits, using people benefits. People have been selling them. So food stamps are now under investigation, and you will have to reapply, and they do have a lot of more requirements to even get those benefits now. If you are one of those people that was selling with your food stamps, if you were even somebody who was stealing the food stamps, using other people's benefits off their cards without their permission or their knowledge, you will be investigated. So that's why they are inquiring that everybody reapply for your stamps, and it might take 30 to 60 days for you to even get a notice back. Then you know if you qualify or if you're going to receive benefits or if you're not. Stop.
All right, I'm not laughing at homegirl or her delivery or anything like that. I'm laughing at the fact that she's just busting it down. She telling you guys what people be doing with these benefits. I should know. I knew some people back in the day. I'm not saying I know anybody right now, but back in the day, selling them, doing arbitrage with the food stamps. Yes, if you guys don't know what the word arbitrage means, you can look that up. It basically means to trade one type of item for another type so that you can get a positive benefit. Hey, go in there, you sell your food stamps, I give you this $1 food stamp, you give me $1.25. Hey, it'll happen. It'll happen. Or somebody just go up off in there and take their food stamps and go to the store and use them food stamps and they'll come back home. Man, what happened to my food stamps? I used to have $100, now I only got $25. This girl is telling you. She's telling you what they do in the hood. She's telling you how it happens. And I like how it's I think it's funny and everything like that. I like this comment from Stacy. TikTok reminds me of that game as a kid where you whisper in someone's ear, and by the time it gets to the last person, it's completely changed. This doesn't affect me, but it's not being cut off next month. You will have to reapply, but not sure when it'll happen. And she was making some stuff up here and there, and didn't really have all the facts. But the fact of the matter is, overall, she's exactly correct about some of the people that's going in there and not using this program as it's supposed to be used. Y'all about to find out. Y'all are about to find out that the Trump administration is actually enforcing the law. And that's one of the reasons why the Democrats want to get him out as much as possible, because the laws weren't really being enforced during all the other administrations. You guys should have let Trump win in 2020. You dumbass bitches. All right, that's why I'll leave it at. I'll leave it there. You guys jump down to comments. Make sure you guys do all this stuff up here. It really does help me out. I really do appreciate all your guys' support and everything. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Chris Boat signing off. I will catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one.